to the Building a Clear Authentic Brand podcast. I'm your host, Amy Dardis. We're in part 2 of our 7-part mini-series on creating alignment with your people. And today we're talking about aligning values. So last episode, we introduced the series and the big picture of creating alignment with your people. And there are 3 dimensions to alignment that we're exploring, calling them the 3 C's just to keep it nice and catchy. So number 1 is culture, number 2 is capacity, and number 3 is contribution. Those make up our 3 dimensions, our 3 C's. And we are starting with the first C, which is culture. And within culture, there are 4 subcategories or 4 elements that make up what culture is and whether or not we have alignment in it. So the first is values, the second is work style, the third is traits, and the fourth is non-negotiables. And today, we are focusing on the first element of culture, which are values. Now, when I first started working with businesses, I thought values were just words on a wall. When I thought about values, when I heard about values, they didn't mean much. And I was pretty judgmental about companies that had them or said that they had them. And honestly, most businesses didn't have them. Most businesses don't have them. And if they do, they're often cliche or generic, empty, because, unfortunately, in most cases, they are just words on a wall. They are just things that sound good, but don't really reflect how the business really operates, or it doesn't really guide how they make decisions or the people that they hire. So the words that are used, they're often generic, they're overused. It seems like everybody has the same values, things like integrity or teamwork or accountability, just like one word that just like it's a good word. And I think it holds good meaning and good intent, but it's hard to bring one word to life within a business. And so they sound good. They're good words, but they're not being lived out. And what I learned along the way was that real values, they're not words, they're beliefs. Like values are convictions. Values are principles that determine how you make decisions. And when your values are clear, decisions actually get simpler. And when they're not clear or when they're non-existent, then you have the side effects of that, and it shows up everywhere in your business. You have confusion, you have frustration, you have inconsistency, you have drift. You have a business that doesn't know what it believes in. You have people who don't know what they believe in, because there are no beliefs that are defined. There are no guiding principles to say, this is how we act, this is how we make decisions, this is our filter for how we will operate, how we will move forward. And so values really are beliefs that drive behavior. And they answer the question, what do we believe is right, good, and important? And how should that belief show up in action? And that is the key here, is what does that look like lived out? So values are not marketing language or ideals. They're the convictions that shape how your organization thinks, decides, and acts. And values alignment means that a person's beliefs and principles are consistent with the organization's values. So what the organization believes, what the principles that guide them, the people who work for them value those things too. We have shared values because, like we talked about in the last episode, we are first defining our core, our shared common ground. And one of the things we have to define is our values. What do we believe? And then we attract people who have this shared ground, these shared beliefs, these shared attributes, while still respecting individualities, while still honoring it, while still embracing it. But we have to have some kind of common ground. And values, like what we believe and what's going to guide us, needs to be one of those things that we share. So when we're looking at a person who's going to join our organization, or we're looking at an existing team member, we have to be able to answer the question, does this person believe what we believe about how we do business, about how we treat people, about how we make decisions? And the unfortunate reality is that there are so many businesses out there that don't take the time to actually define what they believe. They don't define their values in this way, in the way I'm going to present to you today. And so there is no way to answer that question. And so that's where we get frustration. That's where we get misalignment. That's where we get a chaos and people going their different directions. Because if we didn't define what we believe first, you can't even answer if someone shares those beliefs or not. You end up with a bunch of people who believe a bunch of different things. And because you, as the leader and as the organization or as the leadership team, doesn't know what you believe, it's like, well, this sounds good, but then this person has a point. And how do we make this decision? Well, what's the most opportunistic thing to do here? And that's kind of how we end up going through business and running through these different situations. But values guide how we behave. They guide how we make decisions, and they guide how we treat people. So how we treat each other, how we treat our coworkers, how we treat our customers. It gives you clarity on how to act within a certain situation. It gives you clarity on how to make a decision that's going to align with your brand, going to align with your purpose and your mission and your calling and what makes you unique and what makes you different, so that you stay authentic to who you are. You protect your brand and you continue to move forward with clarity and direction and momentum. So these shared values end up doing these three things. They're going to drive behavior. They're going to help us filter decisions that we're making on who do we hire, what processes do we implement, what opportunities do we say yes to, which direction do we move into, what messages do we put out there. They really become our filter. But values also create a standard. They're something that we can tangibly hold on to. We can define and say, this is how we act. These are the behaviors that we expect of our brand, of our business, of our people. And here is how we actually can hold ourselves accountable to them. So it's not just like, oh, this person is good or this person is bad. It's no, we use this specific value to guide how we want our team to act in a specific situation. And we can clearly identify when a person acted in that situation correctly, or when a person went against that and acted differently. And then there's some accountability there. We can call it out. We can talk about it. We can coach on it. We can correct it. Or we can understand that there is misalignment here and we have a problem that we have to address. So it creates all kinds of opportunities to take subjectiveness out of it, and behavior and culture then becomes objective, because we are defining the standard. We're defining what it is that we believe is the right thing to do, what we believe is important, what we believe how we should operate. So where do we start? We have to first start with defining our values. Well, how do we do that? Well, we ask this question: what do we believe about work and people and success? Like, what do we believe matters in the long run? What do we believe is the right thing to do? What is our own moral compass that we want to live by and be guided by? And then we want to look at behavior. So what actions on your team or in yourself, like, are you proud of? Like, what are the actions you want? Like, I want more of that. We need to duplicate more of that. And then what actions exist that frustrate you, or that you're frustrated with, or create frustration within your team? That's where you're going to see like this differentiator between what matters to you and what you're like, oh no, I want to stay away from that. And then we have to take these beliefs and these actions and these behaviors, and we have to make them actionable. And so we have to write them and position them in a way where you would be able to use it to guide behavior and guide thought process within a specific situation or circumstance. So instead of using something that's like a word, like integrity or honesty, we would say a phrase that guides a decision or a behavior to say, do what's right. And then next to that, it says, we tell the truth, even when it costs us something. So that gives me direction. So when I'm in a situation and I, let's say, see an employee doing something that they shouldn't be, maybe they're clocking out early and they're lying on their time card, and I'm seeing this behavior. I'm like, okay, well, how would the company, how would the leadership team, how would my boss want me to act in this situation? Well, it's pretty obvious. Like our values say we tell the truth even when it costs us something. Or another value that we would say, do what it takes, which means that we take ownership and we find solutions, not excuses. Okay, so now we have a team meeting, and we have a problem that we're trying to solve for a customer. You might have an employee who is like, I don't know what to do. They just want to do it their own way, and there's really nothing that can be done here. And they're just kind of like brushing it off. And you're finding through further conversation that they had failed to follow up, or they had failed to follow through on a commitment with a customer. Now the customer is upset and is threatening to remove their business from your business, don't want to support you anymore. And here is this employee who is not taking ownership. They're not finding solutions. They're making excuses. And so you can look at this person and you can say, with objectivity, with clarity, and with a standard, you can be like, hey, look, in this company, in this business, we do what it takes. And for us, it means we take ownership and we find solutions and not excuses. Here's the issue. The issue is you failed to do something. You failed to follow up. You failed to follow through with this customer. You are not taking ownership for it. And instead of finding solutions or telling the truth, even when it costs you something, even when it costs you your pride, or you risk letting the team down, you are making an excuse. And that is not how we behave as a company. That is not how we handle situations. So they then know without a doubt, wow, you're right, because this isn't the first time that they've heard about this value. They know that this means something. They were hired through it. They were trained on it. You guys talk about it all the time. And now you can call them out and coach them in a situation. And they should be able to recognize that I am not living by this value. And this can either be a one-time situation, or it can be something that maybe repeats itself over and over again. And then you realize, wow, I have an issue of misalignment. This individual does not behave by these values on a regular basis. So that's the beauty of being able to define it and bring it to life and help people know what's expected, but also know how to have this independent thinking and autonomy within a situation where you're not there. So they're with a customer, they can't get a hold of you to ask direction on what they should do. And in their head, they can be like, okay, well, what do we believe as a company? Well, we believe in doing what's right. We believe in doing what it takes. I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to do these things based on these values. And when my boss asks me later, why did you make this decision? I'm going to point it back to these values. And they have peace with that. They have conviction with that. They have direction with that without you telling them specifically what it is that they need to do. So based on that, your values should also be authentic, not aspirational. So values need to actually reflect who you really are. So if you are a business that really does value learning and growing and curiosity, that looks like certain things. So it looks like a business that invests in training. It looks like people who are hungry to learn and read books and listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos, and they're excited to attend training. It looks like a business that has a lot of certifications, a lot of discussions around, well, what did we learn in this situation? Like it's real. Like you see this in certain areas. It doesn't look like a business that thinks that training is a waste of time or that does not value books and podcasts and being challenged by different perspectives. Like that is the difference between, are we a business that values learning, that values what do we not know that we need to know, and we want to pursue that journey, versus we think we know what we know and we value other things, right? So it's like we don't all value the same things. We need to know, what do we really value? What do you as the leader really value in a business? Because a lot of the times it's going to start with you. But we are looking at the people who are in our business, because we talked about this before. Our people really determine the success of our business and how our brand is actually lived out. So your values are going to be what you celebrate, what you tolerate, what you are going to correct on, because it matters so much to you, because it's a belief. It's a conviction. It's something that you're not going to just let slide. So I want to just share with you just some examples of core values and how they can be so drastically different. And it's impossible to be a business that values everything. We prioritize what it is that we value. So we talked about this value of staying curious, of asking, exploring, and never stop learning. We're seeking people to bring on to our team who genuinely love to learn, where that's exciting to them. You could have a value that is extreme ownership. So people who own their work, they own their results, their impact. There is no excuse making in your company. You guys are extreme about it. You are fanatic about it. I mean, this is all about when we win, when we lose, like we're in it together. And it's like, what could I have done differently? What could I have, how could I improve next time? Like, where have I maybe contributed to this negative result? How can I get better? We could have something like challenge the ordinary. So this is a company that values and believes in pushing boundaries and rethinking possibilities and creating what others won't. This is something Apple is known for, being a business that believes in challenging the ordinary and creating what others won't. This is a business that values innovation and thinking outside the box and not just staying with what they know. But then you could be something different than that. Maybe you're not someone who challenges the ordinary, but you believe in refusing mediocrity. You don't settle for average, you strive for impact. Maybe you're a business that builds belonging, like you create spaces where people feel seen and heard and value. Maybe you're a business that is the master of the details and you believe in excellence in the small things, like those little tiny things that we do day in and day out with discipline and consistency and, discipline over motivation. So there's a wide gambit of things that you could value. And in any sense, they're all good things, but they won't fit everybody. So it's finding your unique set of values, being able to clarify it, communicate it, and then hold people accountable to that value. And that's easier to do when you are attracting people and aligning people who also share those values. And that's like the big thing here is we all value different things. Some of us value freedom and creativity. Some of us value discipline and routine. The important thing is to find people to join your organization who also share those same values, because they will thrive. They will help your brand come to life. They will bring authenticity. They will bring consistency. Because the alternative is having people in your organization that don't share those values. And so that creates friction, that creates tension, that creates a lot of intersections and way less parallels. And so it's harder to build momentum. It's harder to build consistency. It's harder to be authentic when the people in your organization don't share your same values. But we can never share values unless we know first what those values are. And when they're ingrained into our hiring process, our recruiting process, we're having conversations around these things and we're saying, hey, as a business, we value these things and this is how we operate and this is what guides the decisions and the behavior. And they have the opportunity to hear that and think, okay, that sounds amazing. Wow, where have you been? Or they're thinking, oh, that's not for me. I actually worked with a client one time where they value excellence in the details. They value consistency. They value the world of black and white. They need people who love routine, who love the black and white, who really are guided by those principles. And they are amazing clients. Like I love them as a client, but I could never work for them. I could never thrive in their organization because I don't share those same values. I don't value the black and white. I don't value the details. I value freedom and flexibility and autonomy and creativity. Like it's not a good fit. And so by just knowing that, we could be great people and enjoy being around each other and have a great relationship. But this clarity around what they value versus what I value, it helps us make good, healthy decisions about who we would want to bring onto our team, who's naturally going to thrive, and who we just can stay better friends with and not be coworkers with. So that is the beauty of having these different values outlined and then making sure that we're attracting people who share those values. We're recognizing and rewarding behaviors where those values come to life, which you should be seeing all the time. You're talking about it, you're coaching on it, you're reviewing on it, you're giving shout outs on it. It is ingrained in your business and how you operate because it guides your very decisions. It guides your very behaviors. And you are having honest conversations when actions don't align with those values. And you can because it's so clear, because it's so specific. So as we go through this exploration of alignment, and we're talking about culture and these different elements, I want to introduce you to two different companies. And it's a tale of two brands, right? So I want to paint this picture, and we're going to use the same two companies throughout the next few episodes so that you can fully start to see how these different elements come into play. So these are fictional businesses for the sake of this example. However, I have plenty of real life examples of how this comes to life. So we have two home builder companies, right? So we have company A, they are precision builders, and they focus on doing what's right, being safe, and being consistent. So they're going to have core values like unimpeachable character. We do what's right even when it's inconvenient, unseen, or uncelebrated. They value safety first, so no project, profit, or deadline is ever worth someone's well-being. Wow, that gives you some direction into how to handle a specific situation, right? Like if you're the project superintendent and you have laborers on your team and there's a snowstorm coming in, you have a decision of, wow, I could push these guys through in order to meet this deadline, or I could clear everybody out for the day because it's going to get messy, it's going to get wet, icy, cold, and that's not worth it. Well, when you have this value of safety first, that's going to guide this decision. It's going to give you peace about it and direction on how to act in that situation. Another value is accountability. We take responsibility for our work, our words, and our results. Precision and consistency. We follow proven systems that protect quality and trust. So that's valuing people who follow the rules. And we respect the craft. We take pride in doing things the right way the first time. So great values, right? Very clear. It's going to guide how people should operate, and it's going to attract a specific type of employee. Now, let me introduce you to company B. This is also a home building company. So let's say these two companies have an opening for a project superintendent. Now, company B is called Vision Builders, right? So we had company A is Precision Builders and company B is Vision Builders. So they care about innovation, adaptability, and creating better ways to build. So they value things like challenge the ordinary. So we question assumptions and look for smarter, more creative ways to build. We stay curious. We learn, experiment, and never stop improving. So this is inviting experimentation. This is inviting, doing something new. This is inviting testing a new theory. We adapt and evolve. We move quickly and adjust to what the moment demands. We collaborate boldly. Great ideas win no matter where they come from. and we own the impact. We take responsibility for the results our innovation creates. So there's some ownership here, just like there was in that first with the Precision Builders Company. But this is going to attract a completely different type of person. And if you're you and you're looking for a new project superintendent position, and you have these two different job listings from Vision Builders and Precision Builders, this is going to give you some clarity on which company you want to go work for, because one of these is going to like excite you and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like I love to challenge the ordinary. I want to be creative. I don't like doing the same things the way that we've always done them. I want to do things differently. It's exciting. It's thrilling. And you can feel all of these ideas coming. You're going to love working for Vision Builders. But if that is you, if that describes you, and you look at this Precision Builders job listing, you're going to look at these other values about we follow proven systems and we do things the right way the first time, and you're like, oh man, that sounds really good, right? Like you're seeing that there's value in this, but you're like, but that doesn't excite me, that doesn't thrill me, that's not exactly what I value in my life. And so it helps you make a decision, and you're going to go towards the job listing that talks about the things that you believe in. It talks about the things that you value. Whereas maybe you have different values, and maybe you're someone where it's like, man, you've been in too many situations where safety is more of a suggestion than a rule. And you've seen people get hurt. Maybe you saw somebody break their back on a job site because of carelessness and because the company was like trying to move things through to meet a deadline. And maybe like you care about people and you want to go home to your family every day and you want to be safe. You don't want to be taking those risks, but you love to build. You love to follow systems. You like predictability. You like consistency. You're really going to be attracted to this Precision Builders company. That is going to do so much more for you because you're like, wow, like finally a company that really cares about safety. Like I've had so many experiences of working for companies that don't value it the way I value it. And here comes this opportunity to work for this company who values it as much as you do. So here are just examples of how what we value and what we believe not only sets the direction and the tone for our brand, but it's also going to attract the right people to come and join our team. So we will continue to talk more about Precision Builders and Vision Builders as we dive into the other elements that make up alignment and culture. But that is the start of this example of how different companies that do the same thing can operate so differently. So just a quick recap, right? Values are the filter for our decisions, our hiring, our conversations. They define what we believe. They are convictions. They give meaning to the work that we do. It is what brings words on a wall to life. It is something we live out, and it also provides consistency so that when we say we believe this, we're consistently living it out, and we're being authentic to ourselves and to our brand because we're attracting people who share these values. And alignment is being created because we're rowing in the same direction. And no amount of talking or coaching or performance improvement plans or anything is ever going to convince someone to believe or value something that they don't. So the more transparent, the more upfront, the more clear, the more bold we can be with what we believe in our values and ingraining it into our culture, the more we're going to attract people who inherently have these values, who share these values. And we're going to spend less time dealing with the friction and the tension and the frustration that comes with having people on board who don't share those values. So that is this one element of what creates alignment within culture. And in the next episode, we're going to continue on this series, and we're going to be talking about work style alignment and understanding how we work and finding the people who are the best suited to thrive within that environment. So as always, you can learn more at clearauthenticbrands.com. That's all for this episode. I will see you in the next one.